Helpful for life.
All right, let's cover the last couple of utensils we've got. So first on the list, a covered butter dish. Now, you pretty much have to have one of these because butter is a requirement in a lot of things. One recommendation we have for you, leave your butter out on the counter. That way it stays soft. This will make spreading, mixing, all that kind of stuff that much easier. We used to not do that, and we had many a bad piece of toast because of that. Then you got your good old pepper grinder and your salt shaker. If you want to be fancy, or if you want to use a coarser type of salt, you can get something like this. This is a real fancy one my parents got from Italy, but all you really need is a ramekin or a bowl or something, and you can put some sea salt or kosher salt in it. And theirs has pepper in it and lemon pepper as well. Can opener, this is pretty standard, but don't cheap out on this because it's going to be more of a pain trying to open it up. Go ahead and spend the extra $3 to get the good one, and it'll last you much longer. All right, when it comes to measuring cups, generally we're going to recommend at the very least you have a 1 cup one, because you can measure anything with this, and it will go all the way down to a 1/4 cup measurement, so you can get some small measurements if you need to. But we also like to have a big one around the house as well. And we use this for all kinds of things because it's made out of Pyrex. You can microwave it, you can put it in the oven. We like to put queso in here and microwave it in the microwave. There's also this thing here, which I hadn't seen before, but my mom pointed out to me. It's a small measuring cup, kind of almost like a graduated cylinder, but wider. But the cool thing about it is it has all of the measurements for tablespoons and teaspoons. Oh, those are milliliters. Tablespoons and teaspoons. So that way if you're baking or if you're doing something where it gives you measurements in tablespoons and teaspoons, you don't have to scoop that many times. You just throw it in there and it's a little easier and faster to do. Then we've got your nested measuring cups. Some of these will come with a little ring. Those are nice because then they don't get separated. We advise you to get only one set of these, maybe 2 if you do a lot of measuring, but they can really clutter up your drawers if you don't keep them nested. And then this is a nice little nested spoon where they just kind of fold nice and flat all together. And this is a kitchen scale. A kitchen scale you really don't necessarily need unless you're going to be doing some baking, or a lot of baking rather. Weighing is the most precise way to measure dry things, or wet things for that matter, because you can do it to the 1/10 of an ounce or to the gram. Or if you do a lot of drug dealing, you'll probably need one of these too. Rolling pin, if you do a lot of it, get one that's silicone coated like this. It'll make it it'll make it stick less. Then you got your pot holders. If you're gonna be cooking with anything in the oven or any metal pans that don't have a cool coating on the handle, you're gonna need these. And trivets. So you can use just a pot holder, a couple pot holders as trivets, but trivet's just a fancy way to say something you put underneath a hot pan or a hot pot to put it on the table or on the counter without damaging your counter or table. This here is a splatter guard. This is great when cooking on the stove, especially if you're cooking with things that splatter a lot. Our favorite's bacon, but even sometimes if you're cooking an egg and the stove gets a little hot, the butter will start popping out. And if you're, cooking naked like my wife likes to do, then that's a dangerous thing to have. Okay, these are clothespins. You can also get chip clips. They're gonna be a little bigger and maybe have a little stronger springs, but clothespins, you can get a lot of them for really cheap, and they're good for keeping your cereal closed, your chip bags, anything like that you wanna keep fresh to keep that air out of. Get some of those. Potato masher, pizza wheel. I mean, we didn't put it on the requirements, but come on. Pizza, you need the pizza wheel, pizza cutter. A funnel, you can use this to funnel things into, a flask, into your mouth, or, maybe the more practical, boring version is after you're done cooking that bacon we just talked about, you shouldn't throw that grease down your drain. You should keep it in some type of container to let it cool before throwing it away. This allows you to pour your grease into a smaller container without it getting everywhere, but get a metal one so it can handle the high heat. Ice cream scoop, because of course. And then here are things that can be either cookie cutters, or You know, maybe you can use them to make ravioli or something like that. But another thing you can use these things for is a mold. And what you can do with this is when you're plating your food to make it look that much fancier, you put one of these molds down and then you put the different layers, and then when you're done, you take the mold off and then you've got this nice little fancy ring thing. It'll impress your family and friends. You should do it. But also, you can use this to make what we like to call a Girl Scout egg. Some people also call it other things, but basically take a regular little piece of white bread and you cut a hole in it, take that little hole out, and then you fry the egg right inside. It's pretty delicious. And then we have all kinds of kitchen gadgets that we've listed on our PDF, but there are some that we haven't listed. There's tons of them. I mean, you'll only get those if you're actually going to use them a lot, because otherwise they just clutter up your space. But here's one that I actually like a lot. This is a pineapple corer and cutter and slicer, if you want to call it that. It's actually all three of those things. All you do is you cut off the top of the pineapple, you put this thing on, and then you twist. And then at the end, if you want to dice them into the diced pieces, you push this thing down and it'll dice it. And that's cool because it does all of that for you really easily. You don't have to use a knife and get all tricky with it. But my favorite part about it is then you've got this nice hollowed out pineapple to enjoy a nice tropical drink out of. So check out the PDF for the full list of everything, and we'll see you in the next section.